This past weekend, heavy rainfall resulted in flooding in several areas of the country. One of the hardest hit areas was Belize City. We hear more in this report from Hipólito Novello.
What has happened, what is happening, is a disaster, is a crisis, has precipitated an emergency small e.
In Belize City, streets were flooded and so were yards. The increasing waters had crept into the homes of hundreds of city residents, causing some to be evacuated and taken to a shelter. The weekend floods were caused by constant torrential rains.
During the past 4 days, we had a slow-moving area of low pressure, which presently sits in the Bay of Campeche, and it had dumped significant amounts of rainfall around the country. However, the bulk of this rainfall affected the central and northern parts of the country.
Chief Meteorologist Dennis Gonges says that in a span of 36 hours, 10 inches of rainfall was experienced in Belize City. Prime Minister Dean Barrow says that while he and his government cannot control the weather or change what has happened, they can, however, control their response.
Principal message is to assure the nation that we will do everything that is required to put things back in a state of proper repair, to assist those that have been affected with whatever the needs are. Clearly, we are very much conscious of the size and scope of our responsibility in circumstances such as these, and I want to make it absolutely clear that we will not fail.
And Barrow says that they will spend as much money that is needed to assist city residents.
There is not going to be any stopping to count the cost. It doesn't matter how high the expenses are. Nobody at the end of the process will be able legitimately to say that the government did not look after them.
Today, residents of the Holy Emmanuel area receive food packages.
I received a package with noodles, cornflakes, peanut butter, and little items, you know. I greatly appreciate them.
How will this assist you?
Very much. It helped me very much with me and my baby and my 3 other kids.
And you were affected by the flooding as well?
Very much. The whole house went up.
What was this? Yeah, tell me about that. In the entire weekend, what was it like?
Terrible. It was very terrible because my whole house went up. Everything, mattress, everything went up.
We are very grateful for the assistance from our area minister as well, right? With all this water and everything with the backyard, the damages, leave it a money, leave it a food. We're grateful for it, man, and it will help a lot. For today, tomorrow, and what's not, it will help us out. It's helping us.
Do you have a big family? Is it enough?
Oh, well, yes, I do have a big family. I have 8 children. Me and my wife and 8 children. So I'm satisfied with it, man. It's enough for today and tomorrow, as I say, you know, and gradually we'll take it over from there. Every way is totally flooded, at least about 3-4 feet of water. Because water reached me way by my neighbor when I had to come out. So at least about 3 to 4 feet of water was back here.
The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, is still activated and is helping all affected residents who need some sort of assistance.
We have already activated all our NEMO warehouses to provide food, and that is already in chain for persons in these shelters. So both the warehouse in Bemopan, the warehouse in Ladyville, and the warehouse in Orange Rock have been opened, and the personnel in charge already are on their way with respect to feeding people in these shelters wherever they are. The Ministry of Human Development, as the committee responsible for that, is fully on board and fully in charge, and we have already activated the transport to ensure that people have food and water in these shelters. While I'm on that subject, and so that I do not forget it, I'm appealing to the business persons: do not please increase prices for foodstuffs or waters. There should be no price gouging. The BDF, the Coast Guard, and transport are responsible for moving people. The BDF under General Jones and the Coast Guard has a designated person that is also coordinating the movement together with the BDF. And the Commissioner of Transport, Mr. Jeffries, is in charge of moving people. We're doing it in 2 phases. We're standing by to see if we need to move people out of Belize City. And we're already prepared to do that if we have to move. But for the time being, we're moving people around in Belize City, from the disaster area to the shelters in Belize City. All the government vehicles in the city and some of those out of city that have been charged and with designated drivers to move people have already been activated. We have not declared, as Prime Minister said, any state of emergency or any disaster because we are not at that point yet. We're going to see how the rains go tonight and see where we go from there if necessary.
Reporting for Love News, Hipólito Novello.
2 shelters remain open in Belize City, IT Vet on Freetown Road and the YWCA on St. Thomas Street. In the Orange Walk District, the San Jose Community Center is opened with about 60 people. In the Corozal District, 2 shelters are open, and those are the Guadalupe Roman Catholic School, where about 16 people are, and Mary Hill Primary School, where 6 people have decided to stay. The Sartaneja-Shinush Road is experiencing major flooding and is passable only to large vehicles. The road leading to Gracie Rock is inundated with about 2 feet of water and is impassable and closed to vehicular traffic. This is the same for the Hopkins and City River Road. Godwin Hulse, the Minister of National Emergency Management, shared more.
The movement of people from the south side to the north side is being coordinated by 3 groups. The first group is the shelter managers that comes under Mr. Gabriel. But the 2 commanders for the police, namely the commander for the South, Chester Williams, and for the north side, ASP Phillips, are contacted and coordinated in terms of movement of people from shelter to shelter. Those 2 officers are charged with that responsibility. We will continue to open shelters on a need basis. As I said, we have Gwenley's open, we have Maud Williams open, we have Salvation Army open for special needs persons. That was at the request of the Minister of Housing. We have YMCA open, we have St. Luke. On this side, we have UB, which is right behind here, the engineering department. In the north, we also have 2 shelters open. We have in Corozal because we have some difficulties there, and in Orange Walk we have shelters there as well. We have some flooding in the north in San Pablo and San Jose area, and we are monitoring. The waters there continue to rise. In the south, as Prime Minister mentioned, we had an issue with Hope Creek and Sarawee, but the water has receded. Reports about 10 minutes ago that it continues, it is rising again, but we don't expect any significant rise. This is runoffs from the various creeks that are coming down. I was in the area yesterday late. And in Toledo, we don't have any issue with respect to having to open shelters at this time or any serious emergency. 1 or 2 of the rural roads are impassable at this time, and that is due to settlement of water from the rains that had occurred. The police, as I mentioned before, will provide the necessary security both in the areas where we have cut off the power and also in shelters. The police are not managing the shelters, but will provide security in the shelters. And we urge people going to the shelters to please, we are in this together, please let's behave accordingly. There have been some issues of rowdiness mentioned already in some of the shelters. Please, the police are there to keep law and order in those shelters. The first phase of this is, of course, evacuation. The second phase would be recovery, if we get to that. And the third phase, of course, is reconstruction. There's been many calls across the nation for help in drains and culverts, etc. We are not at that stage yet. That is a stage that will come subsequent to what we say.